Everybody, and welcome back for June's Harvest of the Month. My name is Carrie Hollifield. I'm the registered dietitian for Charleston County School District. And this month we are featuring South Carolina grown tomatoes. And here with me from the Green Heart Project, I have Allie to tell us more about how tomatoes are grown and more about them.
Awesome, thanks Carrie. So like Carrie said, our featured produce of the month is tomatoes. And as you'll see here, tomatoes come in many different colors, but also shapes and sizes. So in our Green Heart Gardens right now, we have a couple different types of tomatoes growing. We have some sun gold tomatoes, which are going to be some yellow small tomatoes just like this, along with some heirloom varieties such as purple Cherokee and mountain merit tomatoes. But in addition to that, if you go into a store or go out to other gardens, you'll see all types of tomatoes, big and small, and they're super delicious. So I'm excited that we get to cook with them today. Carrie, not only do tomatoes taste delicious, but they also have some really good benefits for our body, right? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Allie, they do. So tomatoes are full of what's called fiber that's going to help keep our tummies full for a while. They also have antioxidants in them, which is going to help build our immune system and fight off any of those bad germs.
Awesome. All right, so with our tomatoes today, we are going to be making a caprese salad. Oftentimes, if you see caprese, it's going to include tomatoes, basil like we have here, and mozzarella cheese. Today, we're going to substitute our mozzarella cheese for an avocado to keep our recipe completely plant-based. But caprese, the combination of tomato, basil, and mozzarella, can be really delicious in many forms. Today, we're going to be making a salad with it, but you might also see caprese sandwiches, caprese pizza. You can even use these ingredients to make a pasta. So these are really versatile and a lot of fun to work with. So for our salad today, we're going to keep it really simple. We're going to use a base of arugula, which is this kind of peppery green over here. We're going to use our tomatoes, our basil, which is a delicious herb that we featured last month as well, and then an avocado in our recipe for the salad. And then we're going to mix up a really simple salad dressing using olive oil, balsamic vinaigrette, and some salt and pepper. So to get started, the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to prepare our dressing. So I'm just going to take, Carrie, if you'll pass me the olive oil and the balsamic, I'm going to pour these into my bowl here to make our salad dressing. And we're just going to make, much like usual, a small sample so that we can do a little taste test today. I'm going to put our balsamic, our olive oil, and then I'm going to use some salt, and I'm going to put it in my hand to make sure I put not too much. Drop that in there, and then some pepper.
Allie, I like that you put the salt in your hand first, just to make sure that it doesn't get poured out too much into the bowl.
Absolutely. It's hard to, can't take salt out once it's in there, so it's better to start small and then boost it up after. So I'm just going to go ahead and whisk this around here to make our dressing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this to the side so that all the flavors can marinate while I prepare the ingredients for my salad. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to roughly chop my tomatoes. So these are little tomatoes here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut them in half so that we have a smaller bite for when we go to eat our salad. One thing that I love about tomatoes are all the fun colors that they have. So you'll see today we have red, yellow, and orange, but there's also purple tomatoes out there. You can also have green tomatoes like tomatillos, which are really delicious as well. So I love tomatoes because they're a lot of fun. Next up, I'm going to take my basil here, which I have pre-washed already, so it's been all clean. And I'm going to kind of just cut off these large stems here at the bottom and put those to the side to compost. And then I'm just going to roughly chop them into some small pieces here. Now, you could also do this with your fingers and kind of just rip the leaves apart. I'm going to use a knife to make sure I'm getting some nice small cuts. Oh, it smells so good.
It smells so good.
Something that's really neat about the smell of basil is that because it's so strong, it's often planted with other plants like tomatoes to keep pests away. So when our basil and this strong smell that you'll smell if you cook this or eat this will actually keep bugs that would like to eat our tomatoes away from our plants. It can be a really great form of natural pest management. All right, so next I'm going to grab just a handful here of our arugula. If there's any stems that are super long, you can kind of rip them in half just to make them more easier to eat. I'm going to just use my hands here to kind of toss it around. And then the last thing I'm going to prepare is my avocado. So the way that I cut an avocado is I'll cut it in half. And in the middle, you'll feel that there's a hard center, and that's called the pit. So we'll cut carefully around the pit and open it up in half. And so the half with the pit, I'm actually going to put to the side because the pit will help keep it ripe while it stays in the fridge so I can use that for another recipe later. And then to cut my avocado, I'm just going to carefully slice and then go across to make some nice little cubes in my avocado. Now I'm just going to squeeze the avocado out, and the chunks are going to fall into my salad here.
Allie, when you're at the store and you're picking an avocado, how would you tell somebody to pick one?
Yeah, so 2 ways that I personally will look for avocados at the store is by looking at the color of the skin. Generally, as it gets darker, it's going to be more ripe, and the ones that are really bright green and hard are going to be the ones that aren't so ready. So if you kind of feel, you'll want to look for this darker color and then feel around, and if it feels a little bit soft but not too soft, that's usually when it's ripe.
Awesome.
So a nice kind of, you can make a little dent in it with your finger, but you don't want it to crush in your hands, and if it's so hard, it won't be ready for a little while. All right, so we have our avocado, our arugula, our tomatoes, and our basil in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just use my spoon here to kind of mix this up and mix it all together. So now that we have all of our ingredients in here, we're gonna go ahead and drizzle on our dressing that's been sitting on the side. So just gonna let this, and you can use your whisk or a spoon to kind of pull it off and get it into our bowl here. I'm gonna mix it around until I see that my balsamic dressing is kind of covering all the ingredients in my salad. And it looks like we are ready to go for our taste test.
Wow, this looks and smells incredible. Allie, can you tell us about our taste testing rules?
Yes, I sure can, Carrie. So, as you probably know by now, we're doing this the whole school year, but when we do a taste test of something new, we have 2 rules that we follow here at Green Heart. So the first one that we follow is that we wait for everyone to have one so we can try it all together. The second one is we don't yuck other people's yum. So just because I might not like this recipe doesn't mean someone else might not really enjoy it. So it's important that I'm respectful by keeping my opinions to myself and not being rude about the food that we try today. So what we'll do instead is we'll give it a Green Heart rating when we taste it to let each other know what we think. We'll give it a 3 if it was really, really yummy and we loved it. A 2 if it was okay, but there might be something we want to change with this recipe. And a 1 if we were brave and tried something new today, but this recipe was just not for us. So Carrie, let's take our taste test and go off the screen and give it a taste and come back together and see what each other thinks.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Wow, what a delicious recipe we just made here today. Be sure to look for South Carolina grown tomatoes and this recipe on your cafeteria line this June. And we will see you next year.